Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome back to Muse and Measure, where we tackle life's existential and spiritual problems through the craft of songwriting. If you'd like to deepen your songwriting practice and connect it to your spiritual one, click the guy on the lotus down below and subscribe. All right, so today is kind of an addendum to the previous video, which was about building tension and complexity towards a climax in a song and how to do that lyrically. Last video we looked at story arc and how it's connected to song structure as far as the building of intensity through rising action. And today I want to look at a song example by the Beatles called She's Leaving Home, and to see how they do it lyrically as far as building tension and certain images they choose that help with that and other tricks that they use. So I'm going to go through these lyrics really quick and just talk about how they're building tension in each section, right? So remember that a verse section is kind of the exposition of a story. It's meant to give you the details so you understand who the song is about, what their day-to-day life is, and to introduce the conflict, how things are going to forever change. So this song does that quite quickly. Let me bring up my lyrics. There it is. Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins, silently closing her bedroom door. Okay? So right away we have this character. We know it's a she, closing her bedroom door. Obviously the title is She's Leaving Home as well. And it just seems like an average day. Getting up in the morning, the day begins, silently closing her bedroom door. It produces a little bit of tension there, because why is she doing it silently? Maybe she's just trying to not wake her parents or her children or her husband or her roommate, whoever is involved. Then the tension is introduced in the next line, leaving the note that she hoped would say more. So this question arises, well, why is she leaving a note? And why did she hope that it would say more? Okay? So we have these very kind of subtle word choices and imagery here, which already are introducing this tension of a conflict, and how is it going to be resolved, right? Well, we know from the title of the song that she's leaving home. So already it's kind of been given away what this story is about. But still those lines give us that building of tension, okay? She goes down the stairs to the kitchen, back to kind of the exposition. She's just going about her day-to-day. And then clutching her handkerchief. This is a great line as far as building tension. She's not holding a handkerchief, she's clutching it. And of course a handkerchief has so much meaning imbued in it as well. Handkerchief is, obviously used for blowing your nose or wiping off sweat. But when you're clutching your handkerchief, that has an intensity to it. So that choice of words right there is really, really important. Clutching it, meaning like she's holding on to it for security, but also like there's an intensity already that's visceral. You can actually feel it in your body when you think about it. Clutching that means that she's in a very emotional state. And of course the handkerchief, then we know that it's about tears and holding back the tears, really clutching them. Okay? Quietly turning the back door key, stepping outside, she is free. Okay? So that's a nice little exposition talking about this girl leaving home. And then it switches perspective. Okay? It's no longer third person describing this girl in the scene. It becomes first person. And whose perspective is it? It's her parents' perspective. She, we gave her most of our lives, is leaving, sacrificed most of our lives. Home, we gave her everything money could buy. Okay? So you have this as a building up too of intensity. Okay? What is the parent's perspective? It's pretty much status quo parent perspective. We gave her the best of our lives, we struggle and we sacrifice so that she can have a good life. She should be happy. Okay? The status quo should just be totally fine for this child that we do all this for, right? But that shifting in perspective is really a great tool also for shedding light on, it's not just this girl's perspective, who already she's going through an intense thing, but by shifting the perspective to the parents in this section, you also see that it's an intense situation for the parents as well. So that already builds the intensity, because just one person feeling the intensity, now all of a sudden you have three people feeling the intensity. All right, with the second verse, we return back to the exposition mode, but instead of it being back to the girl, it stays with the parents. And it introduces the details just like it's the beginning of a story, setting the scene. Father snores as his wife gets into his dressing gown. Okay, so this is like a day-to-day thing. I'm sure every day his wife gets up, hears him snoring, she gets in her dressing gown. But there's going to be an inciting incident right away. Picks up the letter that's lying there. Standing alone at the top of the stairs, she breaks down and cries to her husband. Okay, so the intensity already is, introduced right away. Okay, because we know, we have this this third-person narrative that we are looking down on the situation. We already know what the situation is, but this tension is reintroduced here with this finding of this letter. She breaks down and cries to her husband. And then a great use of direct dialogue or direct expression, the character speaking. So we go out of third person into first person. Daddy, our baby's gone. Okay? And that line just cuts right through, right? She just say, Paul could have said, she tells her husband what the letter said, and they know that she's left. But instead, cuts through with a line of her speaking. Daddy, our baby's gone. Okay? And then it could be something that she's saying out loud, or it could just be an inner dialogue that she's having. Why would she treat us so thoughtlessly? How could she do this to me? So this is the mother's perspective. Okay? And then a new chorus. We never thought of ourselves, is leaving, never thought of for ourselves. Home, we struggled hard all our lives to get by. Note how the same kind of, common parental thoughts about self-sacrifice are much more intense this time around. So the first time we gave her most of our lives, sacrificed most of our lives, we gave her everything money could buy. How that's much more intense at this time when it says, we never thought of ourselves. So this is about being completely selfless. We sacrifice. This is a much more intense level of self-sacrifice. Never a thought for ourselves. So it's a repetition of that, which really drives it home. Whenever you repeat a line, you're really emphasizing that line through repetition. So that's another way to introduce intensity, is by repeating lines. Obviously, if you repeat lines too much, like in a chorus, that dissolves the tension because it lets the listener be able to anticipate what's going to happen. And when a listener can anticipate what's going to happen, that's going to lower the intensity. But when you unexpectedly repeat a line where it's not expected, that builds tension. It emphasizes it. Never a thought for ourselves. We struggled hard all our lives to get by. Okay? So the really an intense moment of self-pity here on the mother's part or the father's part, or both of them combined, with this intensity. And it really helps to build this tension by having them singing directly or speaking directly. This is coming from their mouths and not from a third-person narrative. She's leaving home after living alone for so many years. Okay? And then for the third verse, we have the resolution or denouement, which it's kind of unsatisfactory in my point of view, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Maybe you can put in the comments how you feel about this third. We have a resolution to the girl's story. Friday morning at 9 o'clock, she is far away, waiting to keep the appointment she made, greeting a man from the motor trade. Okay? I would have loved some more details here. Why is she meeting this man from the motor trade? But maybe the point is just the fact that it is so kind of blasé and boring, that she's found a new status quo. And maybe that's, I don't know, the cruel irony of this is that thought she was going to have this incredible, new, explosive, outside the status quo life, and she's just doing another thing. It's just a new status quo, which is almost equally boring, although she's out of her parents' shadow. Okay? And then you go back to the parents' perspective for the chorus. What did we do that was wrong? Is having. We didn't know it was wrong. Fun. Fun is the one thing that money can't buy. So that we didn't know what was wrong, this is kind of like the parents have shifted their perspective to being, how could you do this to me? to maybe feeling a little bit of guilt. What did we do that was wrong? And then being defensive about it. We didn't know it was wrong. Okay? And then fun is the one thing that money can buy. I don't know why that line's even there, but maybe you can make sense of it and help me in the comments. But you have this dissolution of tension here. Something inside that was always denied for so many years. Okay? So it's hard to tell whose side the lyricist is on in this case until the very end, because it's saying that the great sin in this is not that the daughter left home and abandoned her parents and left them heartbroken. It is that she had this inner true self that was being denied by her parents being overbearing on her. And now she's free of that. Okay? She's leaving home. Okay? And even the music speaks to this. So not just lyrically, the song is building tension throughout. It's constantly, if you look at the chords, they're constantly moving up. And the movement is always up. Okay? And then at the final end, they, instead of keep moving up, they do what's called a plagal cadence, the amen. Okay? So it finally goes down and resolves. And with an amen ending, and ending with a major chord, it's like this is a happy ending. Even though the lyrics don't really point to a happy ending. The parents are not happy. And maybe, you know, maybe the girl is happy that she's meeting this man from the motor trade and she has this new life. But I don't know, the way I read it is she's back into some new kind of status quo, which is kind of tragic in itself, that she thought by leaving home and by getting out of her parents' shadow that she's going to become free from, you know, this shackle that's keeping her from self-actualizing. So I don't know. But anyways, that is how these little subtle choices of words and perspective, whether you're in first person, second person, or third person, how they can help build the tension in a song. And picking, you know, words that have very strong images and really paint a picture, clutching her handkerchief, okay? And having the characters speak directly. Daddy, our baby's gone. These help in a great way of building tension to this great climax and building towards it. Even though this song is kind of anticlimactic, these help show how you can build tension in a song and rising action. Okay. Well, best of luck with your lyrics and trying to build tension in that. I have another video where I look at a song that is not about a story structure. It's a song of mine called A Little at a Time, where I'm dealing with more kind of general state of things and abstraction. But I also, each time a verse comes around, I build a little bit more tension with the word choices that I have. So if you'd like to go deeper with this subject of building tension in lyrics, check out that video. I'll put it in the description. And please share your comments, your criticisms, your questions with me down in comments. If you want to message me directly, it's tyler@musemeasure.com. Until next time, best of luck with your songwriting.